This is Rudkowski of WeAreChange.org here in Acapulco, Mexico. And I am joined, of course, by the one and only dollar vigilante, Jeff Berwick. Now, Jeff has a very interesting story. He lost hundreds of millions of dollars during the internet boom and then said, wait, I should actually study this and figure out what happened and look at all the financial currents and what's happening around the world economically to make sure that this never happens to me again. He actually predicted Bitcoin, told you to buy it when it was at $3. A month ago, before Trump got elected, he said he would get elected. I didn't even say that myself. Now, obviously, when talking about Trump, there's going to be huge global ramifications and changes with him becoming president-elect. Already, we are seeing Canada and Mexico saying that they will renegotiate NAFTA. We are seeing the downfall of the TPP. But I wanted to talk about just where is Trump going to go with the global economy? What effect will he have on it? Jeff?
Well, first of all, it's not an election, it's a selection. We all know that. They decide these things well ahead of time. I realized about a month before the election that it looked like they were going to definitely put Trump in. You could see all the signs of it. It was quite clear that they had both sides, as they always do, and they decided to go with Trump. There was just too much upswell, which is great, thanks to people like yourself and so many people putting truth out there that people were waking up. So that's what happened with Brexit as well, is they normally rig these elections highly, and they always do. But with Brexit, there was just too much people who knew what was going on. So they're like, okay, let's let them win, like they did with Brexit, and make them all feel like they have some sort of say, and then not do anything whatsoever, which is what we've seen with Brexit. We saw that with Nigel Farage, who quit right after, said there was too many assassination attempts, too many threats on his life. He's just going to quit. The new prime murderer of Britain is basically anti-Brexit. They're talking about maybe in 2019 they might do it. So this is sort of what they're doing now. So now the same thing happened with Trump. They said, okay, there's too many people who are figuring this out. Too many people know about Hillary Clinton. So let's let them think they won. So they elect Trump. I don't think there's going to be a massive amount of change. You can already see what he's doing. He says he wants to drain the swamp. He's refilling the swamp.
Yeah. And we definitely have seen that with him appointing a former George Soros employee and Goldman Sachs man to Secretary of Treasury. There's other people connected with Henry Kissinger, all the top elite banks being a part of his transition team. So we're seeing just a capitulation. Will this actually result in actual policies? We will see when he is president, because he is still not in the Oval Office. But where do you see, with him being surrounded in the swamp and filling it up, how do you see it step by step progressing?
Well, yeah, I call it the Oval Orifice because that's really what it is. But yeah, that's exactly what's going on. He's actually Jesuit trained. The Jesuits are behind many of these sort of horrible elite New World Order globalist sort of things. You look at who Trump is already, he hasn't even started yet. He's already got his chief strategist, Steve Bannon, who's Goldman Sachs. Transition advisor is Anthony Scaramucci of Goldman Sachs. He's got his Commerce Secretary nominee is Wilbur Ross of Rothschild and Company. Possible budget director is Gary Cohn of Goldman Sachs. This is just complete exactly what I said. They make everyone think, okay, we won. Look, we went to a little closet with a curtain, we ticked the box, and we won, and then nothing's really going to change. There's going to be some things that change, but a lot of things that are going to change are actually quite negative. And one of the things that a lot of people think is really positive is how he's going to change the economy and all these free trade agreements and all that sort of stuff. Some of it is quite good. Free trade agreements should always just be one sentence long. It should say, these two countries agree to free trade. The current trade agreements they have are literally phone books. You're not even allowed to look at them, or you can't even bring in your cell phone to even look at these things. So the fact that he wants to change those is good, but his protectionist policies, which a lot of people are really positive about, this is going to save America, will not. Protectionism does not save countries. So putting up walls and putting in tariffs and taxes on things coming into the country will not make your average American's life better. In the short term, for a few months, for example, they might still have jobs, but then watch what happens to prices. As he increases anything coming in, 35%, that's going to increase the prices, everything, 35%. Most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck right now. You have all these people say they can't even live on the minimum wage, which obviously they can't. The inflation's so much from the Federal Reserve, which Donald Trump never talks about shutting down, ever. In fact, he's actually quite a proponent of it. So all the major things, all the things that need to be washed away are the Federal Reserve. That's one of the biggest issues in the U.S. and the world today. The IRS needs to be washed away. He's not talking about getting rid of it. He says maybe we'll lower some taxes. He's already backed off on a lot of that. So the drug war, he wants to actually increase that. He wants to have stop and frisk like in New York everywhere. It's going to be a complete police state. He's already talked about maybe shutting down the internet. He wants Edward Snowden dead, I believe. So this guy is absolutely, he's just another face. It's just two puppets. It's the same boss, the same as the old boss.
Yeah, it's definitely a conundrum covering him because he says things that are so popular and people resonate with it so much. But then you actually look at some of the other things he says and it scares the crap out of you, like spying on everyone domestically. But just getting back on track here, I mean, he is inheriting a huge bubble within the United States. I mean, we just reached, what, 19 trillion in debt? With the U.S. petrodollar previously being attacked by Russia and China, how do you see the future of the dollar since it is at a very strong point right now?
Well, first of all, these protectionist policies that he talks about wanting to institute will be very negative for the dollar. George Bush put in some protectionist policies as well right after 2000, which caused the bear market in the dollar all the way up to 2008. So that is going to be very negative for the dollar, which is going to be very positive for gold and silver and Bitcoin, which is almost at new highs again right now. So all those things are in play about what exactly is going to happen, what's going to change. But it's going to be interesting to see exactly what you brought up a great point. He says so much. He's on Twitter. I actually said he puts out more mixed signals than a quarterback with Tourette's. He says one thing and then another thing, he's just nuts. And I think that's just all just confusing people. Well, we'll see what he does, even if he gets in, because of course they're still talking about possibly not even putting him in. And I think it's December 19th, they're going to have the Electoral College, which is another BS, your vote counts sort of thing, where already a lot of the Republican guys have said they're not going to put him in. So we'll see what happens. But you brought up the biggest point of it all, and that's the only thing that anyone should be talking about is the U.S. national debt. Now at $20 trillion, when Barack Obama, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, who hasn't had one day of peace since he's been in office, came into office, it was about $9 trillion. $10 trillion. It's now $19.8 trillion. It's almost doubled in the last 8 years. That's a complete banana republic, a completely bankrupt country. Of course, the Federal Reserve is just printing money. They've been doing quantitative easing forever. They've been at 0% interest rates now for 8 years. Europe's now going into negative interest rates. That's the real issue, and there's really no answer for that. Either way, it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, it's extremely interesting. I mean, I just came back from India where they had a currency reset. We spent time in Venezuela. Luckily, we didn't die in the murder capital of the world. But you've been, having your fingertips on a lot of this economic news that a lot of people don't know, and you also share it through your newsletter. And we actually have a discount for We Are Change listeners. You get 10% off with the promo code We Are Change. All the information will be in the description below. But we also have Anarchapulco, where hundreds of people all over the world come down here to this beautiful, amazing place for an awesome conference that Jeff puts together called Anarchapulco. And to check that out, the link will be in the description below. I'm also doing a Change Media University boot camp, some life coaching. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's going to be definitely worthwhile to have 100% student success with the people who participate in that. And also, the information for that will be in the description below. Jeff, what else do you have going on? Because I know you got the newsletter, you got Anarchapulco. What's the latest with you?
The Dollar Vigilante has been keeping me so unbelievably busy. I was supposed to go with you to Europe in November, and I just canceled with the whole election thing. There was so much stuff going on. So that's really it. The Dollar Vigilante just nonstop. When I first started in 2010, I was like, what am I going to write about every day? And now it's like decide between 10 or 20 things to write about every day. It's that we're nearing the end of this system. This is absolutely very, very close. Now, what you saw in India is going on all over the place, called the war on cash. They want to actually get rid of cash. They want to get everyone into the banking system, and then they're going to just shut down the banking system and reset all of the debt. That's something called a debt jubilee, which I think they'll be doing fairly soon, which is going to actually make it so most people will lose everything. So people really need to be paying attention right now. So that's why check out the Dollar Vigilante. As you said, you got a discount code for that, 10% off. 10% off for Anarchapulco. And Anarchapulco, as you know, Luke, you've come for every year since we started having it. Amazing event with some of the best anarcho-capitalists around the world, all creating systems to get rid of these governments and central banks, all without a shot fired, all just by changing the system and making the old system obsolete.
Anarchapulco is seriously one of the best conferences that I've ever been to before, mainly because it's in Mexico and people are a lot freer and happier here, and plus the weather's great and the people and just the environment of total freedom. It's awesome and incredible and beautiful. Jeff, I mean, me and Jeff have been all over the world. We partied a lot all over the world, but I haven't seen anyone work as hard. Literally, he is up at the crack of dawn in front of his computer. He won't leave the computer because he's researching and studying. He's a good friend of mine. Check him out. And thank you again so much for watching. Subscribe. We're going to have a lot more information coming here your way all around the world at We Are Change.